What's up, people? It's your boy Perfection back again for part 2, evil intelligence versus good intelligence, or predictable bad versus predictable good. Now we're going to start off from the last video. So basically the last video, what was I saying towards the end? That the world basically, regardless whether it was white, black, Indian, whoever, a lot of the conquering, a lot of the success is attributed to evil, is attributed to greed, selfishness and all that kind of stuff. Okay, heartlessness, no sympathy, lack of empathy, all of the world power is mainly gained through that. Okay, and for people that are good, it's a struggle. It's what am I being good for? That's the first thing you think to yourself, what am I being good for? But the first thing I want to describe in this video is that one thing I did say in the sellout video, because a lot of people say, oh, you blabber on, and this even sounds like I'm blabbering on. But what did I say in the beginning of my sellout video? I said to people that be careful when you're judging people, because the funny thing about it is that I could tell you, I could describe what a sellout is, and then all of a sudden you're walking out. Let's assume I said to you, a sellout is someone that, I don't know, never gives to homeless or whatever. So say it's something like that, and you're walking around and all of a sudden now you're calling people sellout. The funny thing about it is that sometimes without us even knowing it, we become the same thing that we're criticizing, and that's what I tried to explain in my sellout video part 1. But I was blabbing on and I was trying to say to people that there's a difference between you kind of mistakenly or accidentally doing something, and then there's and as opposed to me knowing what I'm doing is wrong and still continuing to do it. That's what I would class as someone that's kind of selling out. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's a lot of people probably watching this video and they probably think that they're good people, and they're not necessarily evil, but they may not be classed as good. Okay, the reason why is because no one man's an island. We all need someone to kind of occasionally pull us to the side and say, what you did there was wrong. If none of us have that, if none of us have someone to kind of, we don't have any peers or people to look up to, elders or tutors or mentors or anything like that, to set us straight when we're doing wrong, then, I was watching a program the other day, I think it was called Infiltrated or something like that. I think it's called something like that. And basically it's about this church woman that her husband, she found her husband was about to leave her, so she ends up basically killing her husband, and she then kind of loses it, but then she picks up the Bible as she loses it, and basically she starts bullying her own children with quotes from the Bible. She starts doing ludicrous things like trying to strangle them and things like that, and calling them satanic and evil and this and that. So in her mind, in her twisted mind, she obviously believes that she was doing good, or it's well justified to what she's doing. But what she's actually doing, what she was actually quite an evil person. And because she had no one to kind of sit her down and govern her and saying, what are you doing? You can't treat children this way. You can't do these things. Without her even knowing it, she was an evil person. That's what I'm trying to say. And taking her evil out on her children. Okay. Right, so where are we going to go with this? Right, so I was going to start off with, the first thing I was going to start off with is that, I think there's a difference between people being desperate and people being evil. I think there's two different things, like if I went back to my previous video and I was talking about predictable bad versus predictable good. If I had, say, £10 in my room now, and, Jimmy's a thief, Jimmy always steals, and Jimmy comes round to my house, and accidentally, without me even thinking, oh damn, I've gone to get Jimmy a drink, but I forgot Jimmy's a thief, and I've left £10 on the table, and I come back and all of a sudden the £10 stolen. Jimmy's predictable bad, right? But can I say Jimmy's predictable evil? I think when we mention the word something like evil in my eyes is something like that is kind of evil has no empathy, it has no sympathy. Someone stealing a £10 note off the table, okay? Would I class that as evil? I'd class that as stupid. I'd class that as desperate. I don't know if I'd class it as evil though. I don't know if I was classed as evil. You know, the point I'm making is sometimes you may have some people around you that you can predict things that they'll do, which is quite bad, but it doesn't necessarily make them evil. Maybe a drunk. It might be a case where every time um, Alex drinks, Alex is very rude and disrespectful. That's predictable bad as well. And every time Alex drinks, he becomes very rude and obnoxious and things like that. It may be, um, what can I think of something else? It may be every time Susie runs out of money, Susie then starts to flirt with guys and starts to behave a bit kind of, people may regard Susie as kind of loose. You know, she might be degrading her own character. She's degrading herself, so that's kind of predictable bad. Oh no, she's doing it again. What do you want this time? You're not necessarily nice to me unless you want something. That's kind of predictable bad. Doesn't necessarily mean that the person's evil though. Okay. The reason why I say these things is because I believe evil intelligence is actually quite smart. Okay, if we go back to my previous video and I was talking about how the world was conquered, it wasn't conquered through stupid people, through obvious evil. It was conquered really through people that look like angels. They generally look like angels. They look like, it's quite funny actually, because I think back to Warner Brothers, when Warner Brothers, obviously they had control of the movies back in, well, they've always had control of the movies, they still do now. But if you think of how they depicted black people back then as gorillas, as evil people that rape white women and all those kind of things, well, I don't want to go into this whole thing, but the point I'm making is that it's not going to, evil's not going to be as dumb and as stupid as the previous things I was talking about. Evil was going to be a lot more intelligent than that. They said if the devil was here on this earth today, he would be the smartest person on the planet. They said that basically there was God, and then there was a few angels, and I think the devil would have been like the fourth or fifth or sixth angel that was created. So if we go back as far as that, then he would be the smartest person on the planet, you know. And he's not going to be as straightforward. He's not going to be as simple looking as, basically he's not going to come to you. They say if he was on here on this earth now, the devil would be a woman in a red dress. The reason why they say that is it's not going to be an obvious looking intimidating guy. Okay, it's not always going to be some intimidating guy with, you know, one eye and scars on his face, and he looks a bit like a pirate. And someone like that isn't going to manipulate people. It's going to be someone that looks really innocent, someone that you wouldn't believe was capable of doing such a thing. That's how the devil generally is going to appear. But another thing I want to say to people is that a lot of evil as well isn't done by one single person. It's done through manipulation. It's done through one evil person manipulating the lower, the sheep, basically. It's why always people would say to people, you know, you can either be a follower or you can either be a leader. Okay, you can either be the sheep or the wolf, or whatever term they use to describe it. Okay, a lot of the times evil is willing to do things that most good people aren't willing to do, and it will be done through manipulation. Today it's done through things like, they say it's done through things like Facebook. They say it's done through things like YouTube. Whereas before, you might have switched on your TV and you may have had one person, you know, that you relied on to tell the news, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 channels. Now you've got independent, random people sitting down in their houses, almost like me, with millions of subscribers. And people are generally taking their word as gospel. You know, I was watching something today, yesterday, where it was talking about Mary J. Blige. And what it was saying about Mary J. Blige is that she apparently is a lesbian. Something. There was one woman, basically, that suddenly popped up out of nowhere on my YouTube, and she's talking about Mary J. Blige as a lesbian. Then I'm seeing in another video, Mary J. Blige is a lesbian. Immediately in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, so Mary J. Blige is a lesbian. It's manipulation is done through things like YouTube, Facebook. It's done through views. It's done psychologically. Okay, and a lot of it, if you edit things as well, editing plays a huge part in it. Edit it, put the music there, put a little bit of professionalism in it, and people will generally tend to believe it. Okay, I'll tell you something interesting, which will lead me into the next thing I was about to say. Actually, something really interesting. I never forget, there was this beautiful black woman that went into the Big Brother house called Makosi, Celebrity Big Brother. Her name was Makosi. Oh damn, she was nice looking, really nice. And basically on the first day she was there, she bumped into someone, and the person asked her, "Are you religious?" And she said yes, or something along the lines of it. This is going back ages ago now, but if you type in Makosi Big Brother, you'll see who I'm talking about. I think she's famous for being in the jacuzzi with her top off or something like that. But anyway, within the first day of her being there, this guy challenges her on her religious beliefs, and literally when she's saying things about, this is my belief and this and that, he's kind of disagreeing with her and telling her that, there is no such thing as God or this or that, which is fine. I have no issue with that. I have no issue with the fact that he disagrees with the fact that she's a religious person and he didn't believe in, God and all those kind of things, whether it be aliens or whatever. I don't mind that, that's fine. But the fact is, within 1 hour, she was literally sitting down in the Big Brother diary room questioning her own religion. She was crying. I think she broke down as well. Within 1 hour. So it took 1 hour to almost convince her that there was no God, there was no Jehovah or Allah. 1 hour. So the point I'm trying to make is that evil intelligence, right? She was broken down literally within an hour. There's no way someone... in fact, one guy did try. I was on a train one time and one guy was trying that with me. He was telling me, "Oh no, you're believing in a God that doesn't exist." And he went on and he went on. 2 hours later, it just one ear and one the other. He was like, "You know what, you're just ignorant, yeah? You're just stupid, yeah?" But the point isn't so much that it was religion, it was the fact that how quickly one person can be persuaded, which means that your faith, or your, what's the word, not faith, but say I had a group and someone suddenly moves from my group to another group, your dedication, your not honor, your not respect, but you know what I'm talking about. If I had a few people in my group and suddenly they moved to another group overnight, they weren't truly loyal. Your loyalty to that can be that quickly changed. Which brings me to the second thing that I want to say. Does anyone ever remember a movie called Fallen? Because this video here, guys, what I want you to understand is my last video ended with me kind of being a bit negative, right? It ended with me saying, "Oh, evil is the strongest thing on the planet and we should be kind of shaking in our boots and blah blah and give up," and that's how it kind of came across to me. And I want this video here is to explain that that's not how I wanted the video to end. I didn't want the video to end in you believing that evil is the most powerful thing on the planet. We should all give up and we should all become evil. We should all become a bunch of sellouts and all of that kind of stuff. No, that's not the case. Okay. Has anyone ever seen the movie Fallen? Okay. Right, I'm going to get into the movie Fallen in part 2 of this video. What I'm going to end this video on is say that just like this sellout video, what I'm going to end it on saying in the beginning of my sellout video, that all I'll say is that there's a lot of people out there that are walking around and believing that they're doing good. Okay, maybe even watching this video and they believe they're doing good, but the reality of it is they may be doing bad. They may be evil themselves, because the devil is very good at manipulating people and making them believe that they're doing something good when it's truly evil, especially when they have no compass, no moral compass, no religious compass. They have nothing to go by. They have nothing to say, you can't do that because that's pure evil, Therefore, I remember Trump, I never forget, Trump was at a rally one time and there was someone there that was opposing him at the rally, and he turned around and he said to the members, the people in the audience, and he said, "You know what, if one of you knocks her out," I'm sure it may have been a black woman, don't quote me on it, I don't want to slander him or anything like that. I remember him saying something along the lines of, "If any of you punches him or her up and knocks them out, I'll pay you. And he goes, if this was back in the day, someone like that wouldn't have ended too nice for them. So basically he was saying back in the day, people like that interfered, people, that's it, something along the lines of people wouldn't, someone like that wouldn't be brave enough to enter a rally like this and basically defy him in front of his people. It would have ended up really bad for them, maybe a rope around their neck, something along the lines of that. I'm not here to slander him. Anyway guys, I'm going to see you in the next video, and we're going to go into the movie Fallen. Okay, see you around for the last video. Alright, peace out.